Tara Reade's sexual assault allegations against Vice President Joe Biden recently got another corroborating witness, which brings the number of witnesses to a substantial amount and bolsters her case. So much so that now mainstream media is paying attention. So now, in an interview with Business Insider on Monday, Linda Lacasse. Now, Linda Lacasse was Tara Reade's next door neighbor at the time. And she said that she recalls Reade tearfully recounting the story of the alleged assault when they were neighbors in 1993. She said, quote, in the interview, this happened, and I know it did because I remember talking about it. That's very clear. I remember her saying, here was this person that she was working for, and she idolized him, and he kind of put her up against a wall, and he put his hand up her skirt, and, you guys know the details about that, and she felt like she was assaulted, and she really didn't feel there was anything that she could do. Now, in case you're wondering, right, because you've got establishment liberals, especially people in the media, especially people that make a lot of money off, touting their resistance credentials, etc., or have a lot of clout. I'm looking at you at the Krasen Bros, Krasenstein brothers. This person, Lacoste, identifies herself as a Democrat and says, yeah, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden, of course. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? What do we want, Trump? No, but I do know this story, and I do believe her. She told me this, right? So the Biden campaign, of course, denies all of this and says, oh, no. Joe Biden couldn't have possibly sexually assaulted anyone, even though he has a history of on video, of inappropriately touching women. And there's been a lot of complaints about him inappropriately touching women, all that stuff. But hey, he voted in favor of the Violence Against Women Act. So you couldn't have possibly done this assault at all. Oh, really? That's the excuse. One of many, right? Other than, well, it didn't happen. And it didn't happen because he voted for the Violence Against Women Act. Really, that bill's a layup. Until recently, until the Republicans, of course, got their own sexual abuser in the party, in office, President Trump, they had no problem reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act. None. And over the last couple of years is when it started to get, quote unquote, controversial, right? So it's not really a good excuse at all. And actually, it's kind of pathetic. It's a pathetic deflection. So now we know that Reade's brother, Colin Moulton, had also backed up Reade, telling Business Insider that she had told him that Biden had, quote, had his hand under her clothes at some point. Now, Reade says she confronted senior Biden aides about it at the time. Now, the former Biden staffers named by Reade did go on the record with the New York Times and said, oh, no, that was never confirmed. She never confronted me. I have no idea who you're talking about. Reade says she also filed a complaint with the Human Resources offices at the Senate about the allegations of inappropriate touching, but did not file a police report at the time. That, of course, they're saying that there's no record of that. But how often, and here's the question, right? How often do women report these things that get lost within that chain, right? So think of women in the military, right, who try to report sexual assault against their superiors. Well, they can't go to their superior, right? They try to go through the chain of command, and oh, look, it gets lost. That's it, gone. Where'd it go? I don't know. Why didn't you file a report? Why didn't you try to file a report? So that's the situation facing so many women, not only in military service, but also in government as well. You're expected to go against your boss, the person that has a lot of power over you, and in some cases, people like Biden who are incredibly powerful and very well known. There's a huge power imbalance that favors people like Biden over people like Miss Reade. And so, yeah, it's very difficult for women to be able to report sexual assault. Now, Reade's mother, by the way, another piece of evidence that came out is Reade's mother calling into CNN in 1993. So now I want to show you that video here of Reade's mother asking radio host Larry King some advice about what she should do.
San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
Now, but these are the people who do come to the Lois Romanos, right? The staff worker who says, I want to let you know about what's going on, either with my boss or the guy down the hall.
And a lot of these people have a sense of obligation. They feel that this public official should be accountable if it's something
They're
wrong.
whistleblowers to the press.
All right, so look, that was, again, back in 1993. And when asked, Tara Reade said, that's my mother's voice. And now she, of course, recently had passed away. And so she was obviously emotionally moved by hearing her mother's voice again, but had confirmed it on social media. So now, if you're wondering why she didn't actually report it, why she, didn't go to the media as well, which she definitely could have. She said, look, I idolize Joe Biden. I mean, if somebody who is not only somebody that you look up to greatly does something to you, that's going to mess with your head. I mean, if you're discounting this, it shows that you've never been in this situation. And all you're doing is essentially armchair quarterbacking. Well, I mean, I would have reported that in this area. Well, really, have you been in that situation? Have you? Do you honestly know what it's like to have someone who not only you idolize and respect, but has massive power over you do something like that to you? You've got no idea what it's like to be violated by someone that you like and trust. And then you've got those mixed feelings. You've got, the self-doubts, you've got the self-hatred, all that stuff that comes along with it. And so it's an incredibly difficult thing. Now, here's another voice that has turned up to help Tara Reade, sort of, and that's Alyssa Milano. Now, this is after considerable backlash. Alyssa Milano tweeted this: I'm aware of the new developments in Tara Reade's accusation against Joe Biden. I want Tara, like every other survivor, to have the space to be heard and seen without being used as father. I hear and see you, Tara, #MeToo. I hear and see you. I hear and see you. But I stop short of saying, I believe you. She's so close, man. She is so, so close. So now look, I understand that this puts people in a lot of, in a very difficult situation, right? So now, I mean, the people who've endorsed Biden are probably in the worst situation. They're in a tough spot. People like Bernie Sanders. And look, I respect Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie Sanders a lot. And Bernie Sanders says, well, okay, look, these allegations, I mean, they need to be looked into. They deserve to be discussed. But he still supports his friend Joe. I have a problem with that, right? Joe's not your friend, Bernie. He's just not. And look, maybe you're only saying that because Trump was worse. And look, I agree. Donald Trump is worse. But this is a terrible situation for everybody involved, especially Tara Reade, who now continues to get attacked and smeared as a Russian asset, as a Trump supporter, as things like that. And anybody who speaks up to defend Tara's right to be heard and to have her, situation looked into also gets smeared. And as, all those, do you want Donald Trump to win? You want Donald Trump to win? No, we don't want to have to be in a situation, which unfortunately we find ourselves in, as having to vote for someone who's done massive sexual assault and someone who's done less sexual assault, allegedly, but still, that's your situation. And so, if you're a survivor, this is especially difficult for people who have survived this to have to choose. And so some are making the choice not to choose at all. And some are making the choice to, well, I don't know. Everybody keeps telling me that I've got to vote for this guy, even though I'm not comfortable doing it because the person that I'm voting for or that I'm voting against is far worse. And so, look, it is a difficult situation. Especially again for Tara, especially for everybody involved. And so all I can say is that hopefully the wheel of justice arcs toward the people who, to deserve it the most. I'm pretty sure I slaughtered that phrase, but all I can say is that I hope that, Tara gets her justice and that, we figure out a better way to go forward and to hold people in power accountable for the things that they do. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.